My name is Emily Hutchinson. I'm a freshman psychology major, and this semester I'm home.
Obviously, you got into success coaching. That's a really cool new position. And so, from your experience, how would you describe what a success coach is?
So, from my experience, I was told to reach out to my success coach when I was having problems in my anatomy class, and I just was not really sure like what I should be doing. I was really lost in like the beginning of the second semester with school. I like hit a wall because like you get from a point when you come from high school and you're a really good student, and then you get to college and it's not the same. You can't just do well without really putting in the extra effort. And so I reached out to Reg, and he was able to like help me like and guide me into like the right areas of what I need to be doing in school, but also made sure that like I was okay mentally too, because you can't be doing well in school if you're not okay mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say like if I didn't have his like help and guidance this semester, like I wouldn't be able to like I wouldn't have done as well as I have given like the situations and everything.
Yeah, so just a little background. So, I was actually an SI for anatomy and a tutor. And that is a conversation I have with every freshman. It's like, oh, but I got an A in high school anatomy. And I was like, I look back on my high school anatomy, which I loved my teacher, but it's like memorizing terms. That is not the case, as you know. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what professor, you don't have to say which professor you had, but I was an SI for Hazel. So she is a wake up call to anyone in like nursing, psychology, speech path. It's different than high school, and that's every subject. Anatomy's extreme, but every subject goes through that. Like you have English papers versus the quality of papers you need to submit in college. Total wake up call. Everyone goes through a wake up call. Anatomy is like the most
A
extreme
really big
version.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tutored a lot of subjects. Anatomy was like the one wake up call that led to like tears. Like I became this
Yes.
comforting instead of this content oriented. But anyway, so I understand completely. And I think that me telling you this is showing how many students struggled and they came to me. And like I was a science tutor, like I was happy to be there. Was I the most qualified? Probably not, right? So it's nice to know that this success coach is there because then, I have directed students to counseling, but having that like in between, here's someone who can help you. That's really good. So can you tell us a little bit more about your experience with success coaching? Like what did you do in a typical session?
So in a typical session, like so I would just like say what my like struggles are and like with school, and then Reg would give me like resources that I could reach out to. So it was tutoring, that there's students out there that also help like you manage your schedule and stuff like that, and to make sure that like to stay on path, and like you'd also like make sure to check in and make sure that like I was doing the things that I said that I would be doing like in our session to make sure I was on path with like my course and everything. And then also just make sure that I was doing okay. So just to check in and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a position like this is really, I know the peer academic coaches do some of it too, but I would have a student come to me and say, I need help with this topic, right? And I would help them with that topic. And then they would go take the exam and not do well and be like, but I went to tutoring. But it turns out that test was on 10 topics, right? And you came to me for one. So you need someone to be like, hey, you know what I mean? You need someone to direct you and understand, like, this is the big picture. Because subject tutoring is important, but they're like smaller tidbits of the grand scheme of things. So if a success coach knows you have a 20-page essay due tomorrow, but you go to tutoring to learn about like one process, right? That might not be the best path to success. So that was
Yeah.
something I saw as students before, where when I became an anatomy SI, it was like they asked me a question about something, and I remember thinking like, do you know, have you looked at all of this too, right? And that was lucky that I had that insight, but most tutors only tutor the subject. So that's cool. Like having someone keep you on path because it's difficult. You have all these courses. It's a lot. So what do you think one benefit that you personally gained from this experience was? So either like a benefit or like a piece of advice or something you learned from coaching?
I think a benefit from coaching would just be like college is definitely hard, and it's like you're gonna struggle, and no matter what you're gonna struggle, but if you have resources out there and people that truly do care and want the best for you, then you should reach out and you should use like those resources. And that like reaching out and like being a part of like my student success coach, like he really did keep me motivated in times when it's just I did not want to do anything. Like it was really not a fun time, but he definitely helped me in that aspect.
Yeah, and I feel like you touched my last question is what's one piece of advice? And I think you touched on like building that support system. Because you're right, college is hard, and if you can't do it all on your own.
No,
It is, I mean, I'm sure some people can. I could not do it on my own. It sounds like you could not do it on your own. Most people can't do it on their own. So I think that's a really good piece of advice. Like build that support system because you're not going to feel motivated 24/7. So you need someone like a coach to push you to keep going. So well, this
yeah,
was really great. I think this will be really helpful in our goal to like push more students to access these resources. One thing I always like to say is you're not paying for these resources, you already paid. So if you don't use these resources, you're wasting money. And I always say maybe I'm cheap, but to me that doesn't go over well. Like I don't like wasting money. So
yeah.
glad that you took advantage of it. And I'm really happy that I got to meet you virtually.